Hi, I am Ali and a warm welcome to the China Repair Studio. So I thought today I would actually glue back together this beautiful vase, which is a commission, and it's broken in 4 pieces. And as you can see, it is a Famille Rose Chinese vase in porcelain. So that's one piece. Here's the other. There's 2 large pieces and 2 pieces which are here, and we're going to fix them back together again, and this is our new project to start on. But before I do, if you haven't subscribed before, if you could please subscribe, like, and please share just to help with the algorithm, and let's get going. Right, so here we are with our pieces. So as you can see, we have one large piece here. Now they have been cleaned, so they're ready to start gluing, and this is in 2 pieces. And then we have this large piece here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to actually fix on the 2 pieces together here and then put them and place them. Again, it's always important to glue all at the same time so you don't end up with a lockout. So for instance, if I just glued one piece here and then left this piece and decided to do it later, you wouldn't be able to get such a tight fit, because obviously you're adding another element, which is the glue. So what we've got here is some Scotch tape, because obviously we need to actually hold it into place afterwards. Now I do prefer Scotch tape to sellotape because it doesn't leave such a gluey residue. I also have a bottle top, which I'm always collecting, and they're really useful for putting in for paint and particularly glue as well. A cocktail stick, which is always very useful, and this is to help apply the glue. And then we have our glue. Now I use the Araldite, and it's a 50-50, so you use equal quantities, and this is the slow release. Now it's so important to use one which is a slow release rather than something which is quick and easy, because it gives you wiggle time. You wouldn't be able to do it all at the same time if you used super glue, for instance. So we can use 50-50. So what I'm going to do first is we're going to work on, let's put that over there, we're going to work on this piece. And I just want to have a quick look to see where it roughly goes. We obviously know it's going to be there. That's going to lift up, and then we've got that piece there. So I think I'm going to do the large piece first, and we might have to wiggle it around a bit. So we'll just take our bottle top and the first glue, and then we just want to put in, it's quite a large piece, so good amounts there. And always make sure you put the lid on afterwards, or the top, just so it doesn't dry out. And then we're going to use this other part. Again there, and we're just going to put in about the same quantity. There we go. Again, lid on. And then we're just going to give it a mix with the cocktail stick. Now at this point I do quite often put in titanium dioxide powder, but I'm going to leave it today because I do realise not everybody uses it, and it's not really necessary, particularly if we're going to be painting in any way. So I'm going to leave it today, and you, in the end, once you start to mix it, it starts to sort of become one sort of colour, and quite a cloudy, creamy colour, and you know it's thoroughly mixed then. Now you do have an advantage, if you, to be honest, if you live in a hot country, because porcelain, if the atmosphere is warm and the glue is warm, and even if the porcelain or your piece of pottery or china is warm, it will actually make the glue thinner. And if you have thinner glue, you end up with a tighter fit. But obviously we're in cold, damp England, and you know the porcelain's feeling quite cold, and you know this is not exactly runny, so you know we are going to have to be very careful and try to make it as thin as possible, so we don't want to put too much on. Now when gluing, again, really important, you don't want to glue both sides. So for instance, if I glue this side and then glue here and place it together like that, what it will do, the glue will try to draw apart, and so you won't get a tight fit. So we only glue one side. So I think when it comes to gluing the side, I'm going to glue this side. So we just take our piece and with our cocktail stick and just go, you see, along here. And then just come all the way along. You want to make sure that every single bit has got the glue on it. You don't want to be smothering it in glue. You want it very fine, as I say, because you're never going to get such a tight fit, to be honest, when you have applied glue, because you are adding in another element. So you do want it to be really as fine as you possibly can when applying. And then just go along there. Now this piece I've actually, it is one of a pair from a client, and about 4 years ago I did actually mend the other one. So this one is the second one I'm actually fixing. But it's a beautiful piece and I just love the colours. I love Famille Rose and anything Chinese. Chinese porcelain I just think is just so beautiful. So keep doing this. Right, now we've actually glued all the way along here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the surplus glue off just by going through. Again, you just want to go all the way along, and this will actually make sure that we've covered every area. Put that down there. And just take off the rest of the glue. So you want it as tight as possible. So very, very thin. Right, so I've also, with my Scotch tape here, I've also cut a couple of pieces out already, torn off. So that's all ready. So we're going to take our piece here. I'll stand up for this. Just gently place it on, and then if you can take some of your tape, and then when you have your tape, just nip a bit on the end there, just so when it comes to taking off you can actually take the tape off. And I'm just going to just gently hold it in place for the moment, and because obviously we need to put this part on as well, and then take the tape, fold, and just on the other side. Now, as I say, now I've already done this part here. This already has glue, so I'm actually going to go on the inside of the rim and do this part. Actually, or you could do that way, or I could just do one part on this part here, which I probably will do actually. So let's find where that is. So that's going to go there. So this bit here has been glued, so we don't need to do this. We're going to do this top part. So we take our glue, and again do the same thing, just go along. So we don't need to go, doesn't need to be too thick, but we want to make sure that it's all covered again. Right, and then once that's done, again just go back on it just to make sure there's no surplus glue on there, and then hopefully you're coming from this side and not the other. Again, this is why it's good to have wiggle room. You might have to just take that down a bit. Starting to slot in place, that's perfect. Great, so that's nice and slotted. So now I'm going to take some more Scotch tape, again take that, take the end off, and I'm just going to gently place. We can tighten it up and wiggle it once we put the last piece on. One more piece. I'm just going to place it there for the moment. That's looking, feeling good. Look from the inside as well. So now we're going to get this the very large piece, which obviously is going to be sitting on the top. I've just noticed it's actually blending in with my tablecloth here, It's pink, it's a pink day. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, I think I'm going to glue this side rather than the other side. So again, we are going to just, see that tape there, just going to take the glue and then just start to go all the way along. Now, Araldite tends to take around 24 hours for it to cure and to dry, but I do like to leave it for at least a good couple of days, and even a week would be even better, just to make sure that it's thoroughly set and hardened. So again, just go all the way along and all the way along here. It's going there. Just go to from the top. You can see. It's saying you just want to work. You never ever want to miss any pieces, otherwise you'll end up with gaps, and you know, you're not going to get such a tight fit. So it's really important to make sure it's thoroughly covered in glue, but not too much. So up there, come along there. And then just keep going all the way along. We're almost there now. It's quite a big job, this. It's probably my favourite actually. I love working with porcelain. And I've managed to fix, I've been fortunate enough to fix a lot of Chinese porcelain. And they just have such lovely colours. I do like celandine as well. I fixed quite a bit of celandine in my time as well, and they're rather beautiful. Right, we're almost there now. And a little bit there. Right, so we've put the glue all the way along. So what we're going to do again, we're going to take our cocktail stick and again just go all the way around. One, to make sure we haven't missed any pieces, and also to make sure the glue, there's not too much on there so we get a tighter fit. Again, just all the way along and go up and down and along. Right, now another thing I've got to say is always have some damp kitchen roll, because we can wipe any surplus glue off afterwards. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to add the top. Right, so figure out where it's going. So I can hear a helicopter going over, and then just hopefully slot in place. Well, that's quite a good tight fit actually, so very happy with that. So we're just going to hold slightly. Again, we'll just take some of our Scotch tape and just start to mark off where the line was. It's actually slopped in so well, it's very difficult to find where the line is. Might have to go from underneath. There we go. And you would just keep going over and going over. Again, just put that across there. Right, let's do that across there. Now we've put this together, as I say, but I can see we are missing a few different sorts of pieces here. Here there's a big gap. If you can see, it's missing some pieces here, and obviously you know, you want to make sure that it's nice and tight. So now's the time to slightly adjust. Again, because we've got the slow release glue, it's really easy to just manipulate it to make sure that we're really happy. And you just hold it and just keep pressing down to make sure it's very tight and that any glue will just press out. And then just put some more, a little bit more there. And you can keep coming back to it and just doing it a couple of times. Now we want to take our kitchen roll here and just wipe off any surplus glue. Another thing you can do if you want to make sure it's a really tight fit is to actually just close your eyes and move your fingers along. If you close your eyes when you're doing it, you can actually feel if there's any ridges or not. And then just keep pressing down, wiping, just get a bit into there. Again, pressing down and wiping. Now obviously, because you know it's a vase, it's going to be quite tricky to come from inside to go in, but if you can, you know, I will actually wipe it down from the inside if there is any surplus glue when it gets a little bit more tacky. And just keep going along. I can see some glue there as well. Keep turning it around, looking in the light. It's there. There it is there. And just keep pressing down. As I say, the more you press, anything will come out, any glue, and you just get that good tight fit. Now I do find when you are doing vases, you always tend to find if there's a bit which is blown out, you always find the bottom there's a ridge. So you always want to make sure that that's pressed in. And just keep pressing. Again, just feel it, close the eyes. Yeah, that's good. So there we are. It's all the worst part, but as I say, we can fill these in and paint it later. And so there we are. That's our vase, all nicely glued up, ready to just cure. So again, I will leave this for around, I'm going to leave it for probably actually a couple of hours, and I'll return to it and I will just keep pressing down and just making sure that everything's tight as it possibly can be and that there are no ridges and it's nice and flush. Also, if there's any surplus glue, I will be wiping that off, including the inside. With this video today, again, next week I will probably be getting on with this and just filling it in ready for painting stage. So again, if you haven't subscribed before, please subscribe, like and share. And again, I really look forward to seeing you in the next video. Okay, bye.